Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. In today's video, I'm going to be unboxing and reviewing the Booster electric skateboard from Outdoor Master. It's currently on sale for $399.99 off of the normal price of $599. At the $599 price, I will go ahead and say right now that this board is not worth it, so if the price ever jumps to that in the future, everything in this video can pretty much be ignored. I'll just say right now it's not worth it. But for $399, there are some really interesting features about this board that I think could make it worth it for a budget electric skateboard buyer. So to jump straight into the unboxing, the Outdoor Master Booster came really well boxed. There was an outer cardboard box and then an inner custom thinner box with graphics on it. I really wasn't expecting to see this custom inner box, considering that Outdoor Master is an electric skateboard company that I have never heard of. Either way, the packaging was super nice on the board and I was really impressed right out of the box. Inside the box is pretty much like any other budget electric skateboard out there. The booster board was on top. There's not a lot else included inside of the packaging. Once you take the electric skateboard off the top, there's an additional brown box on the inside which contains all of the accessories. The accessories included with the Outdoor Master booster board are all those that you would expect to see with any production level electric skateboard. First up is the remote controller, which to me is not a great remote. I've used this one in the past and it feels cheap. The plastic is kind of flimsy, and also it's really big and kind of awkward to hold. I'm not a huge fan of this one, but it is packed with tons of features which we'll get to later in the video. It does come with a screen, which is super nice, and there's a ton of useful data on it. Next up, we have your standard T-tool, which is always a nice and necessary inclusion on these boards. There's a charger, which is a standard 2 amp charger. You'll see these with pretty much any budget electric skateboard out there. 2 amps is a little bit slow for an electric skateboard these days, but it's average for a budget board like this. There's also a USB-C cable for charging the remote controller, which is super nice to see as more and more of these budget companies transition to USB-C. Finally, there's a user manual to get you up and running on this electric skateboard. Before I get into the full review of this board, I just want to go over all of the components used on the Outdoor Master Booster electric skateboard. So starting with the deck is 38 inches long and 9 inches wide at its widest point. It's got a shape that resembles a loaded Vanguard like a lot of these budget boards do, and it's made from 8 layers of maple. The deck features very little concave, and it also has a handle for easy carrying. The front wheels are 90mm ABEC flywheel clones, and the rear wheels are the dual hub motors, which are 450 watts each. They're cheap and standard looking hub motors that you'll see across a lot of budget electric skateboards. The board features split enclosures. The rear enclosure features the ESC, which is the Ling Yi 7.0 ESC. On the rear enclosure, there's the power button and also a battery indicator on the side. The rear enclosure is pretty cheap looking to me. It's a pretty standard one that you'll find across a lot of budget boards. The front enclosure contains the battery, which is a massive 10S5P 462.5 watt-hour battery, which is a completely unheard of size in a board that's under $400. The charge port is also located on the front enclosure, facing the inside of the deck. The enclosures are not particularly elegant looking in my opinion, and they're very generic ones that you'll see across a lot of the other budget electric skateboards, which is always a bummer to see, but that's kind of expected when you have an electric skateboard in this price range. That's it for the components used on the Outdoor Master booster board, so now I'm going to get into a full detailed review of this electric skateboard. Like all of our other review videos, this one will be split up into categories detailing all of the various specs on this board. We will have the top speed, the range, the hill climbing ability, the acceleration and the braking, the ride feeling, and then a final conclusion with all of the thoughts that we have about this electric skateboard and who we recommend it for. So the first spec category that we have up is the top speed. And Outdoor Master advertises that the booster can go up to 24 miles an hour. On our top speed test, we were able to hit 44 kilometers an hour, which is around 27 miles an hour. That's actually faster than what they advertise, and this board does actually feel very fast, especially for a board that's only $399. What was also impressive to me was that it still maintained high top speeds even deep into the battery's life. At around 25% battery, I was still getting 40 kilometers an hour, which is right around 25 miles an hour, which I found to be super impressive. The range on this board is easily the most impressive spec that it has. I don't think there's a better board for range in the $300 to $400 price range than this electric skateboard. They advertise that the board can get 45 kilometers or 27 miles on a single charge. On my range test, I was able to get 50 kilometers or 31 miles on a single charge, which is absolutely crazy for a board that's only $400. We were riding the board aggressively in 90-degree weather and it was able to get this kind of range, which is absolutely insane. The 10S 5P battery, 462.5 watt hours, is bigger than anything else in this price range, which is what's leading to this extremely high range. So if you're looking for a budget electric skateboard with lots of range, this is a super solid option. Next up, we have the hill climbing ability on this board. And just like pretty much all other hub motor electric skateboards, if you're looking for a board that's going to be a monster on hills, this is not a good option for you. All of these hub motor boards get up most hills decently, they just don't do it super fast. This has been my experience with pretty much every single hub motor electric skateboard that I've tried, and the Outdoor Master Booster is no different. So if you want an electric skateboard that's going to be great on hills, this definitely isn't the board for you. But if you just needed to do the basic things and make it up hills, this is going to be perfectly fine. It still does make it up, and it isn't that slow either, it's just not as fast as some of the other options. Fourth up, we have the acceleration and the braking on the Outdoor Master Booster, and in my opinion, this is the weakness of this board and where you can really start to tell that it's a budget electric skateboard. I'll start off with the pros. One thing that I really appreciated about this board is that there are 4 speed modes and there's also 4 brake modes, so you can individually set the speed modes from the brake modes, which is great if you're a beginner and you're more sensitive on the brake than the throttle or vice versa. The acceleration right off the line in the highest speed mode is actually pretty strong and powerful. However, this only lasts for around the first 5 miles an hour or so, and after that it drops off precipitously. I would almost say that the acceleration off the line is too strong and gives you a jolt when you accelerate, which is pretty uncomfortable. As for the brakes are super sketchy and easily the worst part of this board. Not only do they not completely stop you when you're on a downhill, they only engage when you're about halfway backwards on the throttle. Basically, there's a huge dead zone on this remote controller, so when you roll back on the throttle wheel, it doesn't actually engage the brakes until you've gone about halfway, so you never know when you're about to slow down. The worst part is that when you actually do engage the brakes in the highest brake mode, they're extremely strong, so much to the point that sometimes I feel like I'm going to get thrown off the front. To be completely honest, the acceleration and especially the braking are dangerous on this electric skateboard. After riding it for some time, I did get used to the acceleration and the brakes and I felt comfortable, but at the beginning it was super sketchy and I was not a fan of this board. I still wouldn't recommend this board unless you're dead set on having a cheap board for range, just because the acceleration and the brakes on this board are so bad. The fifth and final category that we have on this board is the ride feeling, and being a budget dual hub motor electric skateboard, the ride feeling on this board isn't great. The deck is made from 8 layers of Canadian maple, which isn't super flexy, meaning that it doesn't absorb a ton of vibrations. Added with the fact that this board has hub motors with super thin and not very soft sleeves, there's a ton of vibrations that make it through to your feet. As far as remote comfort goes, like I said at the beginning of the video, I'm not a huge fan of this remote. It feels a little bit too big, especially for my hands, and that makes it a little bit awkward and uncomfortable to control. So to conclude this video, I have really mixed feelings about this board. For $399.99, you're getting some very impressive specs in terms of the top speed and the range. In fact, the range is better than some of the $600 electric skateboards. However, the acceleration and braking throttle curves are not good on this board, and I would even classify them as potentially hazardous. Especially the brakes, it's really important to be able to slow down well, and the fact that these brakes are not sensitive enough on the throttle and then too strong once you can engage them is a really big red flag for me. I will say it's possible to get used to the throttle and braking curves, and if you're able to look past that, then this is a great value electric skateboard in terms of its specs, but I'm warning you guys, if you do choose to opt for this board, the acceleration and the braking has the potential to be dangerous. That's it for this video and our review on the Outdoor Master Booster electric skateboard. If you guys have any questions about this board, let us know in the comment section below, and if you guys want to learn more about this board, we will leave a link to it in the description as well. If you guys enjoyed this video and you want to see more like it, please make sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel for lots of other electric skateboard reviews, DIY electric skateboard builds, and electric vehicle content. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we will see you guys in the next video.